So our next work is by Hayden Greene. And Hayden actually is the director of multicultural affairs at Manhattan College and the coordinator of its multicultural center. He's also the former director of leadership development at Barnard College, my alma mater. So I salute you for that at Columbia University. Sort of point of threading here and interconnection. He's also, of course, an award-winning photographer, and his work has been published in magazines and in different publications and galleries in New York City. He also established the Green Light Photography that to provide sort of this an interesting point of view perspective, a creative kind of vision to commercial photography. His latest project is Magritte Reimagined, and it's something that he's been working on. His work, looking through a number of his works, one always looks and finds color, patterns, catching something in the view of the landscape that's in some ways abstracts kind of what we see. Oftentimes he inserts the viewer right into the scene, and we're no longer the distant observers, but we're active participants, in the middle of the action. That's what I always find as a viewer in his work. Let me see if I have, oh yeah, there we go, Hayden. Okay, now I see you. I didn't see you before. So I think with a work like we have here for Her Justice auction, I actually find it to be in the same way. Usually photography kind of takes you a little bit aback. You're sort of a distant observer, the waves or the beach somewhere out there. But in this case, you almost feel like you're you're right there in the water. You're in the lifeboat. You're somehow, I don't want to say you're caught, but you're sort of surrounded by this water. It's an image that we all recognize, but there's almost something a little bit, there's a little bit of an unnerving almost sense to where you present this, where you place us as viewers. So I wanted to ask you, first of all, where did you take this picture? How did you do it? And, why you selected this image as opposed to, so many others that we're not able to see, but that you have. Why this image? I mean, it is summer after all. We are longing for the water, especially being in New York City, but I'll leave it to you to to talk to us about it.
Yeah, so this image was taken off Buku Reef, which is in Tobago, the islands of Trinidad and Tobago, which is my homeland. My family is from Trinidad. And
Okay.
so one of the things about me is that I am obsessed with waves. I love waves, especially oceanic waves, primarily because I like big, broad landscape pictures. I like, pictures that have so many little bits of detail in different parts of the picture. And waves are landscapes that are constantly changing. Like I can point my camera at the exact same spot in an ocean and take 15 pictures, and each one of those pictures will be different, and that mystifies me. So you're looking at peaks and valleys and plains almost that were not there 5 seconds ago. And sometimes it's a matter of chance. Sometimes you are waiting to see if something happens, but photographing waves is just so serene for me. And it also speaks to the non-permanence of life, right? So, everything that we think is so important right now, in 10 years from now, we'll look back and laugh. It's like, why were we paying so much attention to that? Or things that we didn't think were important to us now are very substantial parts of our lives. So I think waves represent all of those different things. And this particular picture, like I said, was taken off the reef, and you can't see land. You don't know where you are. It could be any water, any place. And I enjoy that a lot. I like, it's like, what's over the crest of those waves? What's to the left? What's to the right? I think that it's open for interpretation and open for the person looking at the picture to create their own narrative once they've looked at it.
Do you prefer for this image to be printed large?
I feel like it's a large image. I think that this is one of those things that you put over your couch, or you have in a place where people can look at it and either feel a sense of serenity or stand there and wonder, like, all of the questions that I just had, like, where did that wave go? Is that a big cresting wave, or is it the angle of the camera? As you know, good point of this is that every time, this is on a glass bottom boat. We took
Mm.
a glass bottom boat, so everybody else is taking their cameras and shooting down through the glass bottom, and I'm hanging out the side of the boat, uh, trying to get this image. I have put my camera on a tripod and like leaned it off the side of a cruise ship in order to get other images. I've stood on the bow of a ship in the middle of a storm to get wave pictures that way. I'm just really obsessed with waves. So anytime I have an opportunity to, I do.
This image, this work is very painterly to me as well. You know, it again, because you're zooming in, you're so close, all you see is the water and the sky, and it almost feels like it could be, a painting. It sort of has that, it's not a hyper realist way, but really there's a softness to the waves, to the way that you've captured them, the softness of the surface. And I just wondered, if you ever, when you capture images, are you ever considering sort of painting precedents in art history in general?
So yeah, thank you for picking up on that. One of the things that I've been really leaning into is giving a painterly look to my photographs, as of late. So, when I take a picture, I'm like, how does this translate as if somebody had painted this picture, and how am I going to shoot this to feel like a painting later on? It's definitely intentional. It's definitely, I want you, and in fact, there are some of my paintings, some of my photographs that people are like, wait, is that a painting or is that an actual photograph? Because of that exact same feeling. Like, I want you to view it as art, and not just a recreation of a scene, but like an artistic representation.
Yeah, there's a timelessness to that moment. I mean, again, it can be anywhere, anytime, and it makes, there's an emotional kind of connection, I think, that a viewer feels looking at this. We all have our own memories and our own associations with water. Sometimes they could be, a point of danger, and other times a point of, sort of a letting it all go. I'm actually heading to the to the ocean today,
Look at
so I'm
you.
looking at this image, looking forward to seeing exactly that. So it just depends on, going back to childhood. What is your connection to the water and to the ocean, and which is what you bring to the work. And I think that people will draw their own connections, their own memories when they're looking at it. But you really are putting us right in the middle of it in a very, again, timeless way. So my question that I'm asking every artist here is, you picked this image for the auction. What is your connection to Her Justice, your, participation with them, and, why did you pick this one for the auction?
It's really interesting because my wife, when she was a first year in law at her law firm, used to do pro bono work with Her Justice, and then she became part of the junior board, and I was always her plus one. And then, as you mentioned, I used to be the director of leadership development at Barnard College, and I would bring my leadership class to Her Justice to see leadership in motion, but especially leadership from a woman's point of view, so that they could see strong women in leadership. And then as I got exposed to the art auction, the photography auction, I was like, I really want to donate a couple of pieces. And once that started, it never stopped. And so my wife cycled off of the junior board, and I pretty much cycled on as almost a full-time volunteer with Her Justice. And so I went from being her plus one to her being my plus one. So
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.